There are different types of communities. Large communities have lots of people, many buildings, and many streets. Small communities have less people and more open space. These two communities are different because of their size. There are three types of communities: urban, suburban, and rural. An urban community can be a city like San Francisco. An urban community has a large population. A population is the number of people living in a community. Since so many people live in a city, they all have to live very close together. Urban communities have hundreds of apartment buildings that many people can live in together. Urban areas can also have thousands of homes. Since there are so many people in an urban community, there are more opportunities for jobs. Cities have office buildings where there are many different kinds of businesses. Some cities are built around industry. An industry is all of the businesses that make one kind of product or provide one kind of service. For example, the city of Detroit, Michigan is centered around the automobile industry. There are many factories in and around Detroit, where many people work to make cars and trucks. Detroit is nicknamed the Motor City. Urban areas also have many restaurants and different kinds of stores. There are markets where people can buy fresh fruits and vegetables, and retail shops where people can buy clothes and shoes. An urban community has lots of fun things for people to do. There are theaters to go to see shows and concerts. Many cities have museums or art galleries to explore. Sometimes, urban communities have colleges and universities filled with students. This is Yale University. It's located in the city of New Haven, Connecticut. New Haven is an urban community. People living in urban communities need a way to get from one place to another. Many people use public transportation to go somewhere. Buses are one type of public transportation. Subways are another. Subways are trains that travel beneath the streets and carry passengers throughout a city. Other cities, like San Francisco, have trolley cars that help people travel around the city. Some urban communities have an airport. People can travel from their community to another one far, far away. Just outside of a city, there are suburban communities. Suburban communities were once farmlands. Then, people moved out of the city and bought up the farmland to build houses and neighborhoods. Many people moved from the city to the suburbs to get away from the crowds and the noise of city life. A suburb has fewer people than an urban community. Its population is much smaller. This is the suburb of Milford, Connecticut. Milford is a suburb of the city of New Haven. Suburbs have places to live, schools, and businesses, just like an urban community. But since there is more land in the suburbs, everything is spread further apart. This is the suburb of Rocklin, California. Rocklin is a suburb of the city of Sacramento, California. Lots of people who live in Rocklin work in Sacramento. Highways were built so people could travel from the suburb to the city. Since highways make it more convenient for people to travel, more people moved out of the city and more suburbs were built. People who travel from the suburbs to the city for work are called commuters. Some people who live in larger suburbs don't need to travel to work at all. They can work and live in the same community. Suburban communities like Rocklin, California, and Milford, Connecticut have stores, banks, restaurants, and provide many services that people need. Today, most Americans live in the suburbs. There are thousands of suburbs all across the country. Communities with the smallest populations are called rural communities. In a rural community, you might find more trees and animals than people. A place is rural when it has very few people and is surrounded by countryside. Rural communities are located far away from cities. Many people who live in rural communities work on farms, where they grow crops and raise animals. Some work as ranchers or farmers to raise sheep or cattle. This is a dairy farm in Townsend, Vermont. Townsend is a rural farm community. Here, a dairy farmer milks the cows every day. Then, the milk is shipped to urban and suburban communities. Rural communities may not have a lot of people or buildings, but there's lots of wide open space to hike and explore. Urban communities like New York and San Francisco, suburban communities like Rockland and Milford, and rural communities like Townsend are very different from each other. But it's their differences that make each community so important. You see, all of these communities rely on each other. Businesses in cities need workers from the suburbs. Urban and suburban areas need the food products that are produced in rural communities. Each community helps the other. We've seen that communities are large and small. Different communities have many things in common, but it's their differences that make each community unique and special.